Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for Dave.
Man, it's been 20 years we've been waiting for Dave. Are you guys ready to show up?
Yes.
Definitely.
So welcome. I'm Tim Matasio. I'm here with Waiting for Dave, Logan, Nolan, Matt, and Ian. And they have some exciting news. They're ready to create something that has never been created before after creating it first 20 years ago. I don't know how it all works out, but anyway, they're going to tell us. So why don't you just take a minute and introduce yourself? We'll start with Logan, your name, where you're at, what you're up to in life right now.
Yeah, so my name is Logan. I was the singer back in the day, and I now live in Clear Lake, Iowa with my wife and my 5 children, and I am a marketing and graphics manager for an architecture firm.
All right, we'll go to Nolan.
Yeah, so I was the guitar player, backup singer for a song. I jumped behind the drums and just kind of all around involved. Now I am in Lincoln, Nebraska with my wife and 3 kids, and we have I own a financial firm with a couple other guys here in town, and yeah, been doing that for about 15 years now.
Matt Phelps, why don't you share a little bit about what you're up to right now, where you're at, and what you're doing, and maybe a little bit about your family and everything that's going on in your life.
Yeah, so I'm living in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm a general contractor. I am married to my wife and have 2 little kids.
All right. And Ian.
Hi there. My name is Ian Pierce. I live in Omaha with my wife and 3 kids. I work as an ER provider. Then I'm part owner in a clinic. That's pretty much it.
All right. So Waiting for Dave got together 20 years ago. Why don't we start with Logan, since we're kind of going around the circle? And how did the original 4 of you coagulate at that point in time? And when was it exactly? Was it about 20 years ago, or when was it? Where was it? And then we'll just have people kind of chime in as we go.
Yeah, so it would have officially started 2004. Well, is that even official? But that's when we started playing music at school. Nolan and I and Ian, and Matt wasn't there yet. We had a different drummer, and we had started the band, and we named it Waiting for Dave after one of our friends who we went to church camp with, who was a year younger than us. And that summer, we had kind of been in a cabin together and had been playing music, and he was kind of realized that we were all going to go to college, and that he was going to be stuck at the end of the year in high school. And he kind of got sad, and we said, well, if we start a band, we'll name it after you. And so Nolan and I ended up rooming together freshman year, and started writing some music. Brought Ian in, and then this our former drummer, and just started practicing and playing some songs and stuff. And then we came back from semester, and our drummer wasn't there, and Matt had just started coming to school there, and it was kind of a perfect fit. We're like, oh, Matt's here. And then that was how the 4 of us officially became Waiting for Dave.
And what school are you referring to where you all met?
York College, which is now York University.
York, Nebraska.
York, Nebraska, yeah.
York, Nebraska. So you're 4 Nebraska boys just bringing the noise. And, I was watching a video of America the other night, and America built their empire on one song that had 2 chords. And I thought I'd go around the group here and ask the question, what was the song that Waiting for Dave was built on, in your opinion? In your opinion. I know everybody will have a different idea, but, a horse with no name. I mean, that's America, right? And it's one song, 2 chords, and 40 years later. There's one guy still touring, for heaven's sakes. So, Nolan, we'll start with you. We'll go down to Matt, Ian, and then back to Logan. If you were going to say what Waiting for Dave, the foundation tune was that you built your empire on, what would it be?
Rolling on.
That's
No,
For better
we
or
don't know
worse.
why that's funny. So,
sorry, it's an inside joke with us. It's one of the songs that actually was one chord that we played. And it was more of a joke than anything, but it really stuck with the people that support, like our fans that came to our shows, and they
okay.
would demand from the crowd, like Freebird, except it was rolling on, and that's what really stuck. I think a lot of our songs were just kind of that lighthearted, fun,
Uh-huh.
like environment, which I would say if you're talking about what was the true crowd pleaser, you referenced it right on with Boom What being one of the crowd favorites, which was a little different from our normal sound because we were very much like this rock with grunge influences and that sort of thing. But then we came out with this hip hop song, Boom What, that was quite entertaining and really got people jazzed. And it was so theatrical because Matt, who would play drums, would stand up, and this is how we kind of made a transition in the middle of the show. He'd come from behind the drums up and grab a microphone, and I'd set my guitar down, and I'd go back behind the drums, and I'd start playing this little hip hop beat. And then the next thing you know, Ian's in the background dropping the bass line, getting the crowd moving, and everybody they just start rapping.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's catchy.
It's pretty catchy, yeah.
Matt, what would you say is the song that started it all for Waiting for Dave?
Started it all. I would probably have to agree with Boom What.
Really?
It was a staple just because I got to be up front, But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good ones that we remember and reminisce on. But
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Well,
I'd say
what's another? What's another one? What would you say would be the second one for you?
Oh, well, Nolan took the joke of rolling on, but
Yeah. Well, the third
so
one.
The
Give us
third
a
one's a
different.
joke.
Give us a
number
different one.
three.
Yeah.
Number three. Probably Torn or a Buried Alive.
Okay.
So Buried
Buried
Alive came a
Alive.
little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah. I've heard Buried Alive. Haven't heard Torn yet. Ian, what would you say would be the melody or the lyric that things were built on?
It would have to be Boom What. I mean, that's the one that we ended all our shows with. That's the one that had lyrics describing who we were and where we came from.
Yeah.
My favorite song, which you didn't ask, but he brought up Buried Alive, and that was definitely my favorite. A lot harder and got everyone moving.
Yeah. I've heard Buried Alive.
I would say if I had to be like, what's my favorite? Honestly, Not Alone is probably one of my favorites. Amazing is up there too. There was a lot of collaboration in those songs. Like, so Not Alone was one that we were actually traveling to a show. I think we might have been going to St. Louis for a show, and I'm riding in the van, sitting next to Logan, and I had a riff that came, and it sounded good. And I'm like, I started singing, "You are not alone," and I'm like, this is it. This is a hook. And then I'm like, Logan, write some verses.
Yeah.
And he took it and like made it a complete song. And I mean, that in our shows, that really the crowd was going nuts because there's a hard riff right after the second chorus that just was like broke it down, dun, 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 and everybody be going crazy. That's probably one of my favorites to play in the like shows. Like
Live
that one
shows.
It went off on that. So
all right, back to Logan. Wind it up. What do you think Waiting for Dave back then? And then Logan, I'll ask you to riff a little on what were you up to back then? Like, why were you, what was your dream? What was your big dream when you were back in school? What did you want to see? And then we'll kind of come around and ask everybody else, like, really what you wanted to accomplish.
Sure. Yeah, that's a nice, easy one to tackle. So to answer the first part, I mean, it's not much else to say. I'm not sure it's a joke to say that "Rolling On" was really what we were built on, because literally we tried to stop playing it, and it like we couldn't not play it. I mean, every concert.
What was the chord? That's the thing I keep
G.
wondering.
It was
What?
G.
It's a G
It's
chord.
G
G,
chord.
just a G chord. Okay.
And that's a funny song too. I mean, it is funny. It was a joke song. We literally
Yeah.
made it up at a band practice with no one, just goofing off, like playing one, and then I just totally riffed the first verse about it. The song's really about people we knew. You know, we just most of them, Ian and Nolan and I played soccer with, and so each verse was kind of about somebody different, and it was just goofy.
Yeah.
But literally, you know, we were kind of, after a while, we're like, this isn't even like a real song, but we played it every show. So
I guess it was a real song.
it was a real song to some people, so
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
But
so
I
what?
agree. Boom What would be the other one. And to
Yeah.
mention one other song
Yeah.
that was mentioned, but I think it's a stretch to say we were built on it for sure, but Amazing, I think for me, was a great one, because it had such a simple chorus.
Yeah.
You're amazing, that like everyone could sing along with it.
Unchanging.
And that's really cool when
Yeah.
you're up there. Like I could literally just hold the microphone out, you know, at some of the shows, and people would be screaming it because it's such an easy song to sing along with. So that was
Yeah.
a really fun one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what did you want to accomplish? What did you want to get out of your early creative energy?
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of things when you start, you know, freshman in college. I don't think we were really thinking about what do we want to accomplish. You know, we just had some fun ideas for songs, and Noel and I, you know, rooming together and just had a similar interest. We both had written music before, played guitar, and so it was just kind of a fun thing to start doing. And then it was like, oh, I didn't even, like, for instance, I've known these guys since we grew up going to camp together since at least middle school, 6th, 7th grade. I had no idea that Matt played the drums or that Ian played the bass until we were at school.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
No idea. That's
So
hysterical.
yeah, I mean, starting out, I would say there wasn't really anything, but I mean, after doing it like a year or two, and seeing, like, you know, people showing up to our concerts and people singing our music, and
Yeah.
you know, having a little bit of success. I wouldn't call it a lot, but certainly a little bit was, you know, that got that spark of going, like, oh, maybe there's something to this, you know, maybe that's something we could continue.
Yeah.
It ended up not working out, but I know there was a time that I think at least some of us were kind of considering, like, hey, could this be a full-time thing that we could do, you
Yeah.
know, like move to Nashville or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, you have other things going on. You know, I met my wife, you know, at school, and so I wanted to start my life with her. And so, you know, once you kind of are getting ready to enter the real world, you have a lot of other you know, different careers and things that you want to do. And so that's it's pretty standard. I think that's kind of why it didn't go that direction. But I think we all kind of felt there was a spark of that it was a possibility, you know, at one point in time. Not to speak for everyone else.
Let me ask Ian. And Ian, what was it like when it went from just something you were kind of goofing around with your friends to performing and seeing that other people enjoyed what you did and were doing and could sing along with you, and that it was spreading beyond just the 3 or 4 of you? What was that experience like?
Well, it was amazing, of course. You know, I grew up going to rock shows. I still go to rock shows with my dad.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to be a rock star since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So playing music with your best friends and having people actually want to listen to you, there's nothing better than that. Plus, we got to travel around and play in different venues and meet some really neat people. So I can't think of something better than that.
Yeah. Matt, what about you? What was it like for you when things shifted a little bit and it got out of the garage, so to speak, and onto the stage?
Yeah, well, let's back it up just a touch too. When I joined them at school, I think it was the second semester of freshman year, and I was just looking to get out of a situation that I was in previously, at another school and was just looking for a fresh start. And I knew all these guys and they were my friends, and kind of coming to that was special enough. But then also they're like, hey, you want to start jamming with us, start playing a little bit? I was like, heck yeah, let's do this. So it was more just about being a part of something, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when it really kind of started moving a little bit more, it was pretty exciting just because it was like, hey, this is kind of fun. York's a small town, you know, people are kind of noticing you type of thing around town. And it just got to be a fun thing to be a part of, you know, and just play music. That's a huge passion as well. So yeah, a lot of fun.
And Nolan, same question, last cut at it.
Well, I'm gonna go back to where it all kind of started. So, like we had mentioned, we all went to church camp together, and that last summer we were all playing songs, and we told Dave, our buddy, that when he was balling up in the top bunk on the other side of the cabin, we're like, hey, to try to calm him down, we're like, hey man, if we start a band in college, we'll name it Waiting for Dave, because we're waiting for you to come and join us. We had zero intention of starting a band. Ian, Logan, and I went to York to play soccer. Like, that's what we were there for. Yeah, we were just trying to calm him down.
Dave's gonna love this.
Clearly, he was hurt.
Well, I mean, understandably. I mean, we're pretty cool guys. But anyway,
we were
he
pretty
was,
cool.
yeah, right. Sorry, we were. Yeah.
Edit that out, Logan.
Now we're just
Go ahead.
fans. No.
Yeah, I know.
But we like it all kind of came together. Like, we wrapped up our soccer season, and then Logan, with a couple other guys at the college, decided to enter into a talent show of some kind. And I went and watched this talent show. And because Logan and I are roommates, when he got back to the room, I said, Logan, that was awful. Well, maybe not quite to that extreme, but I was like, close. Hey man, if you're gonna do this, let me help you. It needs to sound a lot better than what you're doing right now. Like, and these other two guys that you were playing with are not it. So that's kind of where it started. And then finding out that, like, Ian was able to play the bass, it just kind of fell together. And I mean, we just, I had some songs that I had written in high school. I mean, I've been in and out of bands since like 8th grade. Like, I had some neighborhood kids that were like sophomores in high school that knew that I played the drums, so they asked me to come play the drums for them. And then, like, they are like, hey, we got some other guy that can play the drums. Would you be willing to be our front man? So I'm like at high school parties as an 8th grader, like singing Nirvana and like doing shows. So I mean, I've been doing different stuff like that, and I was like, Logan, I have something to offer, and I've written these other songs, so let's start with that. And those would have been Torn and Callous kind of came later, and a few of the others that were kind of some of our foundational started songs. And then it just kept like growing and growing, and our sound kept adapting until we really became like moved from this grunge to this almost like post-hardcore like vibe, where like there's a song where Ian is screaming and stuff like that. Like, it just became a more intense like what was really popular at this time, like 25 years ago. Like, there were bands that were screaming passionately, and it was like what was in, and we were all about that and giving that hard rock vibe. And then it was just silly, like adding in this element of like the hip hop and then and all that. But like, it was just engaging with the fans. That was an incredible opportunity for us to just go and play. I mean, Logan and I are always talking about how cool it is that we got to open for Skillet at here in Nebraska one time, and just getting to travel from New Mexico to St. Louis. I mean, we were all over the place, playing at camps in Kansas, at churches in Iowa. I mean, we got to do a lot of cool stuff in a very short window, because I think it was only about 2.5, 3 years.
Cool. So the exciting thing is that you're all gonna, this is what I think is really great. You're all just gonna leave your families now. You're gonna leave your kids. You're gonna leave your jobs and your careers. You've seen the light. It was kind of left there and now you're going to go through your second kind of adolescent splurge, and so the announcement today is all about just forgetting everything and now hitting the road for good. Is that the idea, Matt? Yeah.
I thought that's what. I got the bus outside, so it's
Okay. All right.
fueled up and ready to go.
So, Ian, you're going to have to leave those patients that, hey, where's my doctor? Well, he's playing.
I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about my wife that'll murder me. That's all I'm worried
okay. I was going
He can
to
come
say,
on.
no, he's gone. He's
patients?
playing boom what?
That's right.
So he doesn't have time for you anymore.
Yeah.
So obviously that was, it doesn't sound like that is the case. And yet here you are. Here we all are. Here you are, the four of you, waiting for Dave. Where is Dave, by the way? Did Dave ever, where is
Hard to
Dave in
tell.
all this? Ian, where's Dave?
Still waiting for him. Really.
He's in Lincoln, Nebraska, as far as
Oh,
I
he's
know.
in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Does waiting for Dave know that you guys are back together again?
I put an air tag on him, but he must have found it because I don't know exactly where he's at currently. Matt might know where he's at.
Matt? Man, we're
I
still
don't
waiting.
know where he's at, but
You have one
yeah.
job, Matt. One
He's
job.
not here. He's not here.
We're,
He didn't get the link. I don't think. I think
we're
we
still
forgot to
waiting
send
for Dave. Oh, well, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. But what I want to get to is what is going on now, like why we are here when we all have work to do and we all have careers and families, and it doesn't sound like the band, quote unquote, is getting back together, but yet it does sound like the band is getting back together in a new way. And so this notion of resurrections usually denotes that someone died, right? So, or something died. So, Matt, if you were going to say what died such that it's now being resurrected, what died?
Who died? No.
Who died? What died?
No.
Wrong platform.
I think we kind of at the end of it all, we kind of just went our separate ways and
Yeah.
kind of buried it there. And then over the accumulation of 20 years, it's kind of been brought back to life a little bit here.
Yeah.
And,
Not more than a little bit. It's back.
Yeah, it's back.
It's back, baby. Okay.
But, yeah.
So what died was just the experience or the time or the essence of that, whatever that was at that time in your lives, that died. And now it's back to life, resurrections. And how did it come back to life? That's what I think I want to explore, I'll
take that.
Okay.
If you're good with that, Tim.
Sure.
So several months ago now, I was just living life, doing my thing, and I got a random text message from Logan.
Okay.
And the text message read, AI is dumb or amazing. I can't decide. And he tagged a
That
little
was it?
MP3.
That was the whole text?
That was it. That's what it was.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's random. That's weird. But there's like an MP3 audio clip that was attached to it. So, of course, I hit play. And all of a sudden, I hear what sounds similar to a song that we wrote 20 years ago, but way better than the recording that we had. And so I start like just barraging Logan with messages back, like, what is this? How did you do this? Where did this come from? Tell me what's going on. Give me everything that you've got, because I need to know what's going on with this. And so then he shared this app that he got a hold of, and then I download it. I get the most expensive version because financial guy. And I just go into town with taking music that we have. So I'm like, give me all the recordings of the old stuff that you have. I'm going to play with this for a while. So then for like 2 or 3 weeks, like first off, I go and find an iPod or iPod mini that I had stashed up in my closet for the last decade that's just been sitting there with a half shredded power cord. And I'm like, maybe I have stuff on this. I don't know. So I go plug it in, hoping nothing happens when I plug it in. I'm like, I'll give it overnight. I'm hoping for a miracle. And I wake up in the morning, and sure enough, it charged just enough for me to be able to open it up and look. And I've got the treasure trove of basically everything we recorded on that. So I got it. I got it to my office, got them all downloaded onto my computer so I could keep them. And then I've been tinkering. So like for about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like sending, maybe 2 weeks maybe. I'm sending like audio clips to Logan and Matt. Like, dude, check this out. Check this out. And I'm making incredible versions of our songs that are just like, I mean, better than I could have ever imagined in some cases. Turning them into like R&B songs, turning them into like country songs, turning them into like basically the stuff that we wrote, but like just better quality, like that we could never have afforded when we were in college, let alone like whether we had the actual talent to make it that good either. But I mean, it was insane. And so that I'm like, I all of a sudden feel absolutely inspired that there is something much bigger that we could do with this. And that's when I then called, like I texted everybody.
Okay, time out,
Yeah.
time out, Nolan. Yeah, I know I've heard you, and I know you can keep going, and I am going to come back to you. Don't panic.
Yeah. All right.
But it just, as someone kind of hearing this, I want to hear what precipitated the text, because Logan was the one who sent the text. So he was working on this before you got it. I know you picked it up and taken the baton and done a lot, but I want to hear the genesis. So Logan, take us back to what precipitated you saying AI is either stupid or it's what?
I said AI is dumb or awesome. I can't decide.
Okay. All right. Dumb or awesome. So
Yeah.
what happened such that you decided to send the text?
Oh, so I mean, all through the years, basically ever since, even after we stopped playing shows or whatever, I still continue to write music and play music. In fact, I put out a song like 7 or 8 years ago, and I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna get back into like just trying to produce myself. Well, it's really hard to produce yourself. In fact, the one song I put out actually was because my wife had booked me time in a recording studio as a gift. And so I was able to go to a recording studio, work with the producer, come up with all the parts. Well, I mean, it was, quite a process. And so I have a whole bunch of songs that I've written and just never really like, put them out, or I feel I don't really have a way to like produce them fully, but, it's like even just recording them, just me and my guitar or whatever. Some I have and some I haven't. But this year I was inspired that I was like, I really want to do this. And because of my job being, in the marketing and design world, like I'm pretty familiar with a lot of AI products and a lot of AI different things that it can do, because it's part of what I do. And so I'd heard about this AI music, sort of generation and different ways that you can use it. And of course, you can just literally type in a couple things and have it completely produce and make a song from scratch from you. It'll produce the lyrics, it'll do all the instrumentation. Or there's other ways of doing it where you can just put in a thing of you singing, and it'll take like the basic tune and the words, and create a song out of that. And so I had this spark of like, when I discovered that, I was like, oh, I could use this to produce some of my stuff. And I just had started playing with it. And I was actually talking with a friend of mine at work who also used to do music or does, some music on the side as a hobby. And he said, hey, have you heard of this app? And I said, yeah, actually, I was just playing with it. And he's like, yeah, I put in some of my band's old songs into it and covered it. And he sent them to me, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And so that put the spark. I was like, oh, I got, some of our old recordings. So I grabbed one of our recordings and put in that. And same thing, like I heard it, the same reaction Nolan had. I was like, oh my goodness, this is sick. So like, I had to share this with Nolan. So yeah, I just sent him the text, and I was like, this is dumb. This, how much work went into us like writing and, recording what we had. here you just upload it, and in about 30 seconds you have two versions to listen to that will just knock the pants off what we did. And so yeah, it was dumb, but it was also really cool. And so yeah, I was like, Nolan would love this. So I got to share this with Nolan.
Oh,
So
okay.
I did, and
all right.
that's the
So
genesis.
So you sent it to him. Okay, Nolan, pick it back up and reaching out then to Matt and Ian and kind of, I want to get their reaction, to this, whatever you told them. So,
Yeah. So I'm like, I send some stuff back to Logan right away that I'm creating. And then I start showing them to Matt, and I'm like, Matt, you gotta hear some of this stuff. So I'm like sending separate messages to these guys back and forth, just to like with the different things that I'm creating, and that's over a period of a couple weeks. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, we got to do something with this. There's something much bigger that we could do with this. Because as I'm listening to it, I'm like being sucked back 20 years to a 20-year-old version of myself that wrote a lot of these songs, that were feeling a lot of stuff. I was going through things like the spiritual battles that were happening in my world were like all coming back fresh. And I'm like, there's something there. These are some messages that some people need to hear. Like, these are some really, like, I would describe it almost as like they're like the verses often had the struggle of life with the moments of clarity that would come like riding through in the choruses, right? Where you're like amazing, or you're not alone. Like there's these incredible messages that young people today need to hear. And I was finding that I could put it in any genre that I wanted to where I basically could take the chassis of the song and dump a different body on it, and then it was palatable for anybody to listen to. And then I'm like, I gotta get these guys on board, because I can't just take our old songs and just start running with it. So at that point, I reached out to all three of them, and I and Ian, and like I sent some stuff to Ian to hear as well, to hear some of these remakes. And I'm like, hey, I need to call a meeting. Like, we got to all talk, because if I'm going to keep doing this with the vision I have, I need to make sure these guys are all on board. So that's kind of where.
So let me get to Ian and Matt then, because we know Logan, kind of initiated this, so we know where he's at. So Ian, you're slicing and dicing an ER, and you get this text, and it says, we got to talk. We got something amazing. Something's been resurrected, or something to that effect. What was your first thought? What are still your thoughts about this all? Where are you at with this, Ian?
I mean, initially I was pretty skeptical, as anybody would be. It's just like, come on, like, what are we doing here? But then after listening to one or two songs, I requested specifically him type some things into the, I liked it. I liked it way too quickly. It was, it's kind of an addiction. So then I was like, all right, that's good, but can you make it a little more hardcore metal? Like, let's see what we can really do with this thing. And before I knew it, he sent all this stuff back, and I had a new, workout gym music for myself. A new mixtape there. So, yeah, I like it. It was pretty sweet. So.
Okay, good. Matt, what about you? When you first heard about it?
Yeah, I think it was just a nostalgia thing, like just kind of like what Nolan said, just being teleported back 20 years ago, remembering those times, just the things that were happening, and just like what our lives looked like back then. But then also just the music. It was like exactly. It sounded more like what we kind of all thought we should sound like, right? So,
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's how that song should have sounded like.
Yeah.
So, but we just didn't have the producers back
if we'd
then.
been the Beatles, that's what it would have sounded like.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So
actually, that reminds me, Nolan, mark down, we need to do Beatles style on all.
I'll get one. Yeah, I'll get that rolling.
But yeah, it was just a cool experience, just to kind of relive those and be able to have some fun with it.
Yeah, well, I gotta interject one personal note here. because I just, Logan and Ian haven't met me before, and I've known Matt and Nolan for a while now, and work with them, and so I have 50 to 60 songs written to the Psalms. You think 20 years ago is a while. I did mine 40 years ago.
Nice.
And maybe even longer, 40, 45. And my dad, I was going through a separation when I was in law school. So it was about 1980. And my dad, who was a minister, he heard about it, and he wrote me a letter. He said, "Timmy, read Psalm 37." And so I read Psalm 37, and it really helped. And then I put a melody to Psalm 37, and did it back, 1980. So whatever that is, 45 years ago. Oh my goodness. But I still remember it, and I still remember the chords, and I can still play it on my acoustic guitar. And so I sent Nolan a couple of my old songs. And I'm telling you, I know Nolan has a lot of things to do, but man, he got them back to me so quick. I'm just sitting there going, what is this guy doing? Is he just sitting there waiting for stuff to come in? Because it was like literally the afternoon or the next day, and not just one, but 4 or 5 or 6 versions of the same song. And there's one song I sent him called "Feed the Spirit," which is based on Galatians 5. And he sent me a classic rock version of "Feed the Spirit," and I listened to that, and the experience was exactly what you kind of were describing. It was like, that's what it would have sounded like if I could sing as well as that guy or that thing or whatever that is that's now singing. If I could have sang like that, and if I could have had a band, and if I could have had a guitar solo and in the classic rock version, and it was like unbelievable. And the feeling of it was just incredible. So something is happening. And the question is what? Like, what is happening here? And what are the possibilities? So that's kind of where I want to take it, to wind up more or less, unless there's something else somebody wants to go to. My question is, what are the possibilities? We've and I've shared it with a few people, and shared my songs with a few people after Nolan sent them, and they're like, "Wow, I didn't know you had this in you." And I go, "Well, I kind of do, and I kind of don't, actually." But what is your vision? What do we do now? We've got this amazing tool, possibility, opportunity, gift, obvious passion. And just watching you guys all on here, and I just keep thinking, you think you're the only ones that wouldn't have, this type of experience? You think you're the only ones that don't have songs in their soul that they'd love to share with other people? There's got to be. It's like, what could the Lord do with this? I guess that's my question on the table, and whoever wants to can just riff on that.
Well, I'm sorry to jump right away, but I want to kind of share what visions I've had of this, and what has inspired me a little bit. I've always been musical, but been around music, and I grew up in a household where my mom was like playing K-Love and stuff like that in the background of our house all the time. So it was Christian music primarily, and my mom wouldn't let me watch shows like The Simpsons, or wouldn't I'd have to wait till my mom was out of the car going into the Walmart to be able to flip it over to a rock station to listen to what was the current stuff. And then as I saw her walking back, I'd switch it back over to Christian radio, because I wasn't allowed to listen to the mainstream stuff. That's
Sorry,
just
Mom.
the way it was growing up. Yeah. Sorry, Mom. But so, and now here I am as a father, and I'm hearing the music that's out there, and it's garbage. Like lyrically, it's garbage. Like it's super catchy, but it's garbage. And there's a Pink Pony song that's like just a very bad message, but little girls all over the country are singing along with it, and it makes me sad because I think it's a terrible message to be sending our kids. And we had a deal years ago where we're riding around in the car, and with our oldest, he was listening to some popular music, and when the song came to an end, I told my wife, I was like, we're not going to listen to that song anymore. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, the song was basically telling the kids or the listeners to go commit suicide. And I was just disgusted with the fact that these are like mainstream songs that everybody's getting fed. And I hear it all the time from people like, well, I'm just listening to the music. I don't listen to the words. But I at the end of the day, I think the words are getting into you, whether you think they are or not. And I'm a little disappointed in the Christian music industry. There's a few artists that are doing a good job, but the whole Christian music scene has really moved to this like praise and worship Sunday morning sound, and they all sound the same, and they all share each other's musicians anymore. Like it's all kind of become almost cookie cutter, and it's not what it was when I was growing up with bands like DC Talk and Newsboys and Audio Adrenaline that really all had their own unique and individual sound. In fact, they were cutting edge to an extent in a lot of cases. Toby Mac's still doing some stuff, but like it was hard for me with young kids. I've got a 6 and 2-year-old, and I want them to have positive messaging. And so taking these songs that have a positive message and then turning them into something that everybody in the family can enjoy, that moms and dads can push play in their car or in their house, and then just let it play and not have to have any concern that their kids are getting filled with junk. That has been just like moving me to go and make more and more incredible songs out of the stuff that we had, and even creating some new stuff.
Okay. Who else? What's the vision? What do you see? Logan, since you started it all with the crazy or amazing thing, or dumb or amazing, what do you see a possible, or what would have you want to stay involved and want to see it move forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously these songs they mean a lot to all of us. To me, we all helped write them. We all got to sing them, and hear people sing our song. I tell people that all the time. I think one of the most incredible feelings is to like write a song and then be on stage and hear other people sing like your lyrics that you wrote back to you. Is just like unreal, because it means like it means something to them. And so that's a very surreal thing that really, it's a feeling that never leaves you. And I think like in some ways that is kind of what drives this project too, is to that's why we call it Resurrections, right? Like breathing new life into these old songs, sharing the core of what these songs are with different people, and being able to put them in different genres, as Nolan has said, is like you're able to that message is able to reach so many different people, because some people love rock and they hate country, and some people love hip hop and they hate grunge, or whatever. But so in terms of like,
doesn't make any difference.
Cool. The message is the same regardless. And I mean, I'd echo a lot of what Nolan said, just in terms of that's what's always pushed me to continue writing stuff too, was just I had stuff in my heart and stuff that going on in my life, and writing a song about it's always been the way that I've just dealt with it, and processed a lot of it. And of course, following Christ my whole life, I have like no choice but to write a Christian song, because that's my worldview. That's how I see things. And so even if some of the things we write aren't specifically mentioning God, they're still written from a perspective of what we believe. And and so yeah, and with this, the adaptation of AI and stuff making music so much more accessible to so many people, I think, like what you said, Tim, there's no limit really. There's no limit to what God can do, you know, when He's just tearing down barriers, making it easier for people to just share their heart through music with other people. And I just think we're going to see an explosion of that going on.
Great. Matt, what do you see? What do you see coming out of this now?
First off, it's been really great to reconnect. The four of us. That's been pretty fun. We've had some late night calls, usually on Sunday evenings, just kind of reminiscing. We do have like a little bit of business to talk, but then it ends up kind of going back 20 years and just kind of goofing off, and that's been really fun. But then also just kind of to see where we're all at right now too. We all have a lot of accomplishments. We also had a lot of life in between then and now, and so just the ups and downs and being able to be here to support each other and kind of celebrate our wins and go through the losses and stuff like that too. But all that to be said, at the end of the day, for me, it's just whatever God's going to do with it, He's going to do with it. It's been super cool to relive these, and then also just the positive message that they do bring, or that they've always had, right? Just bringing new life to them in today's world, like Noel and Logan were saying, and even Ian, just like for our kids, right? To be able to have this, to be able to have a playlist, right? You can go on Spotify, check this out, see some music that we used to play back in the day, and it just sounds better. It's a little bit more clean, as far as the recording goes, right? So we did some basement recordings back in the day, and back then we thought they were the coolest thing ever, but boy,
Boy.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I'm along for the ride. It's been fun, to get back together and chat through all this and see where it takes us. So.
All right. Ian, what do you see? What do you see ahead for this project, and what do you see that the Lord may be able to do with it?
I don't know, just like none of us do. I think it's like Matt said, I think it's awesome that we've been talking with one another, because it's been a long time since we've done that. And I think maybe that at the minimum, that's what God has done for us through all this, is reconnected us, like Matt said. I think the lyrics of our music are very powerful. And I think that the fact that we can put them in various genres for people to enjoy is awesome. And I think that we're sharing it with everyone, and that's the best we can do. And if something happens out of that, great. And if not, that's good enough for me. And I'm just happy that we got to reconnect and do this together.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, the bus is still running. So we're just warming it up, but
diesel's expensive, man. Come on.
It is. It's super expensive. I don't know why you guys are letting me do this, but
the interesting thing about it is, you get together. It's like sports teams. They get together and they play and they compete and they're in championships. And whenever they talk to people, 20 years later, what do you miss most? It's always the locker room. It's always the relationships. And that's one thing, that's similar is you guys may not have had a reason to be back in communication if it weren't for this. If all the Lord's doing is getting you back in communication and saying, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about communication. I mean, talking, being in touch with each other. I'm a connector. That might be one of the miracles out of it. I shared a book called 12 Conditions of a Miracle with Matt and Nolan. And this is for Logan and Ian, and it's a book that goes through the parable or the miracle of the loaves and fishes. The thought that I had was, in that day, the Lord gave the little boy, the loaves and the fishes, 5 loaves, 2 fishes. So he carries it to the big speaking engagement, and then he gives what he had back to, gave what he had back to the Lord. And then the Lord took it and multiplied it. And it just seems to me like a lot of people have music in their heart, and they feel like, well, all I've got is 5 loaves and 2 fishes. What's that amongst so many, That's what the disciples even said. What's that amongst so many? Or, is my music, it's like, it's not good enough for any of this stuff. But, you bring it to the Lord, or you bring it to Ian's AI machine and you say, here, take it and see, or Nolan's AI machine, take it and see what you can do with it. And then he can do whatever he wants. That's the other thing I hear you guys saying, he'll do whatever he wants with it. And that's the miracle of it all. So, we're coming up on almost an hour. And I just want to give you guys a chance to share anything else that you want to share that, would leave you feel as though this was really a good experience for you today.
Yeah, I want to say something. What you said, Tim, really sparked just something in my mind, and it's just in how God is working in all of our lives. I think, I shared how I sent Nolan that text because I had this goal of trying to put out music this year, like this year's a year. But like the backstory behind that is a period of just immense growth that God has just been working in me in like a super powerful way in these past few months. And so it's just like ironic, except for it's not ironic because that's how God works. He's working in me. Literally, I feel like he's worked miracles just in my life and in my person and who I am. And in fact, like one of the biggest things that he's changed in me is that I can change. Like I can, like it's that realization. I've been a Christian for a long time. I became a Christian when I was about 10 years old. And so it's not like I didn't know Christ. I didn't know Jesus. I didn't have the Holy Spirit, but like it's one thing to think that you can be a new person. It's another thing to believe that Christ can really make you a new person. And he has been making me a new person, completely different. Day after day after day. And this was before I ever sent Nolan that text message. And what I had sort of participated, I don't know, that's not the right word. That is what brought me to that point of investigating this thing myself. So I said, so cool to see I'm at that point. I send this to Nolan. It sparks, I don't know if that's, I don't think that's really what sparked it in him. I think it was God in his life at the same time working in him, that when he sees just this random text message from me with the song, it now sparks this crazy, experiment. And then of course through our talks, coming to reconnect and find out like Nolan and Matt have been meeting with you and that, you're a mentor in their life and that they've been going through some of the very similar things that I have in terms of just like, periods of spiritual growth that God is working in our life. So I don't think it's a coincidence, that all this is happening at this time. It just feels like this is God moving, like this is the Holy Spirit, like at work. And I think that's what we're all feeling. And that's what makes us so excited because we all are believers that like, dude, if God is moving, like just get us out of the way. And like, we just want to see what he's going to do. We just want to see what he's going to do with it, So anyways, that's just something I wanted to share because that I just think it's so cool. And the other part of reconnecting that's so cool, and I kind of shared this with Nolan, was that like, I could just sense this like fire that he had in him. And it was just so cool to see that.
Some might say obsession. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But see, we all know Nolan, when we were all together doing this, like that was the Nolan that I knew. You know what I mean? That dude who was on fire for Jesus. And you know what I mean? And so like, and because we kind of fell out of touch a little bit, over those last few years, I don't know where he's been spiritually, from here, between here and there, which is in one sense makes me sad because it's like, I feel like I let, my friends down. I have been out of contact, but then to come back in contact and just to see like, man, God is just like working in his life in this powerful way, man. Like, I just feel like God's blessing me with this like front row seat to just see him work in someone else's life as well. And it's like, I just got the best seat in the house. Like, it's just cool to see God working in other people's lives and like like lighting that fire in them and just going like, this is, I'm calling you, and they're answering, it's very cool.
Great. Anybody else just kind of want to share a little or whatever's come up, as we've been talking?
Nolan doesn't have anything to say. That's a first.
He never
Mark.
does.
Mark.
I just can't get that guy to open up. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just trying to be respectful over here with you guys.
That's good. Thank you.
I'll go real quick. I think a lot of echoing what Logan said, just the stuff that God's doing in my life personally, but what I'm seeing him also now do. I've been in contact with Nolan quite a bit, just living in the same town. Ian and I have had a lot of talks and communication over the years. Logan, I haven't talked to you in probably 20 years up until this.
Wow.
Which is the bummer, but at the same time too, we went separate ways, and
I mean,
life happened.
Yeah, I moved. I'm not around.
And you moved away from us, man. You moved away. No, but all that kind of stuff, right? Life gets in the way. We get married. We have kids. All that stuff. So to come back around in this group setting is like really special, just because if you go back to when we were in college, just the kind of crazy times, like 19, 20, 21 years old, right? Like those were wild times. Like we all each had our own experiences, but then we all each had experiences together too. And they were really fun, awesome, really grateful to be able to to be a part of that. And so kind of coming back around to this now, is a special thing. So.
All right. Good. Ian, anything else you want to share?
I'm the quietest out of all four of us, in case you wondered. They've touched on everything, so I've got nothing productive to say. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Please delete this. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for Dave.